Hi everyone, Jennifer Blevin-Smith with Integral Clinic Solutions, and you're watching my YouTube channel, Navigating the Business of Medicine. Today I want to talk about how to monitor medical staff to ensure clinical compliance without disrupting patient care. Most compliance risk in a medical practice doesn't come from billing. It actually starts in the exam room. So today I felt like this was a very appropriate topic to be talking about because we've talked about other compliance items, but we haven't spoken about this, okay? Some examples that I'm talking about where it starts in the exam room would be incomplete provider notes. That could be, some coding issues, but it also could be a coordination of care or continuity of care situation for patients that it could cause. You have missed protocol steps, which is clinical, and it could involve some legal risk. You could have verbal workflows, but they're not documented, so they're not like real, right, expectations because it doesn't exist, right? If it's not written down, it's not documented, it doesn't exist. That's not just with charting and patients' progress notes. That has to do with everything in healthcare. If it's not documented, it didn't happen or it doesn't exist. Therefore, this can put you at a risk. This video is not about questioning clinical judgment. This is about consistency, documentation, and execution when it comes to your medical staff, okay? So let's first talk about why monitoring your clinical staff matters, okay? Let's first establish that. The clinical work is the foundation for everything in your practice, right? So documentation drives billing, orders drive services, protocols drive compliance. Okay, if the clinical side breaks down, everything downstream after follows, and we have to keep that in mind. So let's talk about some of the biggest mistakes that practices can make in this regard. Okay, and there could be others, but these are just some of the biggest ones. The first one that I need to talk about, and this is not just in the clinical compliance, it's in the practice as a whole, but assumptions, okay? Making assumptions. They're licensed, so they're compliant, right? You just assume staff, if they're licensed, certified, they're gonna be compliant. Bad assumption. We train them once, so it's fine. We don't have to worry about it. Not true. Again, a very bad assumption to make. Okay, there could be many other examples I could give, but we only have so much time. But making assumptions is very, very dangerous. Okay, it's one of the number one mistakes in a medical practice. Number two, reality. Okay, clinical workflows drift. We all know that. It could be because requirements change. It could be because staff turnover. It could be because of burnout. It could be because of extra work being put on them. But clinical workflows drift, and we have to acknowledge that. Shortcuts develop under time and pressure because there's only so much time in a day. You're trying to get things done. You feel the pressure from the leadership. You feel the pressure from maybe the billing and the financial, and people will cut corners when they feel it's okay, even though it might not be, but they try to justify it that way. And then documentation becomes inconsistent. And that's why it's really important that you have expectations set for documentation, but you also have very consistent internal audits when it comes to documentation checking, okay? Clinical skills don't guarantee operational excellence, and you have to remember that. Just because they are a licensed doctor, a nurse practitioner, a physician assistant, a medical assistant, a nurse, just because they have a certification or a licensure doesn't mean that they're going to perform the way that they should. It's just human nature, and you shouldn't make that assumption, okay? So what should we be monitoring from a clinical focus? Okay, so let's talk about that. Number one, provider documentation. And when I say provider documentation, it's usually because the providers are doing most of the documenting in the progress notes. However, this would be for any clinical staff that are involved in any part of your documentation process, okay? So you have to make sure that notes are complete, they're timely, and they're signed. They have to be signed by the provider that saw the patient and or supervising physician based off your protocols and requirements and things like that, okay? You have to make sure the documentation is supporting medical necessity and the level of service that's being billed, which a lot of people forget about that piece. And that's what causes a lot of downcoding. That's what causes a lot of takebacks when you get audited, okay? You need to watch for copy and paste in templates and patterns that go with that. And you need to watch for missing elements in the documentation. The next thing is clinical protocol adherence. This needs to be monitored closely. Are the providers and staff following established care pathways and standing orders staying within their scope of practice, right? Medical assistants should only be following certain things that keep them in their scope, and they should not be operating outside their scope. Same with nurses or LPNs, whatever you utilize. And then are your providers having expectations for their supporting staff that maybe is forcing them to feel pressure to operate outside of their scope, right? Or are your providers lacking the providing the standing orders for the staff to follow? You have to look at all of that, right? Some examples where things can be monitored to see if things are going correctly. Are labs ordered correctly? Are they being entered? Are there documentation supporting it? Is the diagnosis there? And then are follow-up intervals consistent? Like if a patient needs to come back in 3 months for a hemoglobin A1C, or 6 months for a diabetic check, or in a year for a physical, are people making sure that the patients are having this, one, communicated to them of those expectations, two, making sure that they're scheduling, and three, making sure they keep that appointment, right? There's all these different places that you can validate this information and monitor. The risk here is that if there are multiple different variations of how things are being done, or how things are not being done that are should be, that exposes you to some other type of compliance situations, okay? So keep that in mind. The next thing to monitor is medication and treatment handling. You have to, again, make sure you have proper documentation, proper administration, and storage compliance, okay? Those are very important. Usually the clinical staff are responsible for all of that, so you have to be monitoring it. Some examples would be the vaccine logs and lot tracking, NDC numbers being documented, correct dosage being documented, all of the rights. If you're a clinical person, you understand the rights of a medication, right? Making sure those are all being followed. These are all high-risk compliance areas, especially for the clinical staff and for the practice itself. So that's why I'm bringing this up. The next thing to be monitoring are orders, referrals, and follow-through. Are orders being documented clearly? I'm sure you're seeing a theme here, documentation. So are the orders being documented clearly, and are they actually completed, right? Are referrals being tracked, and are they closing out once you receive the referral or it expires, things like that? This is where breakdowns can happen quietly, and it's not until it becomes a problem that people notice. So you want to be proactive and monitor it regularly so that doesn't happen. Another area to be monitoring your clinical staff is clinical support staff execution. I kind of talked about this a few minutes ago, but MAs, nurses, LPNs, things like that. Are the intake processes consistent across all their roles, right? Are they taking the same vitals for the same types of visits? Are they taking the same histories? Are they supposed to be taking histories? If they're not, then why are they? Are their expectations set, and is everyone doing the same thing across the board? Like, you can't have a medical assistant doing weight, blood pressure, SpO2, and temperature, and then the other MA skipping the weight and skipping the SpO2, and they're only doing blood pressure and temperature, right? Like, that's not okay. So it has to be consistent. Small misses here in this realm create big downstream problems, right? Because if that weight needed to be collected on that patient because maybe they're on a diuretic and it wasn't collected, and you didn't have a baseline, and now they're having shortness of breath issues 3 days later, the doctor's going to go, why wasn't there a weight taken? We should have had a weight taken. Well, that expectation should be set from the get-go, so there wouldn't be that situation they would run into, that if the provider needed to find a vital from their last visit, it's gonna be there because they know the staff knows that they have to collect it. Okay, this is a patient safety situation as well as a compliance risk. So now that we've talked about what to monitor, now we need to talk about how to monitor without disrupting care. You don't want to disrupt patient care. So the first thing I would do, and I'm a big proponent of this, is focusing on chart audits. Auditing charts can tell you so much when it comes to billing, when it comes to workflows, when it comes to staff and their performance. Auditing charts can give you so much information, right? So if you did small, consistent samplings instead of one big audit, you're going to be able to not only stay on top of it, but you're going to be able to find things that are small before they turn into big problems, right? So a weekly review of select charts is what I recommend. And you want to make sure during that process that you're looking for patterns, you're looking for omissions, you're looking for template use, you're looking for all these things. You're not expecting perfection. You're just going to be reviewing things, looking for some of the things we already talked about, but seeing if you're seeing patterns with certain users, certain providers, so that you can try to re-educate and correct those for the future so you don't end up seeing more of them, okay? Observe the workflows, not just the output of what the staff is giving, right? So do some periodic shadowing. It doesn't have to be all the time. You want to see how care is actually being delivered with your own two eyes, listening, watching, and just kind of taking in the whole scene, right? And then in your mind, you need to compare the policy that you have set for it versus the reality. And then you're going to have to say, well, are they not following policy because it's not realistic and it's not practical? Okay, then maybe we need to change it a little bit. Or maybe they're not aware of what exactly the policy is. Or maybe they are and they just don't want to do it. I mean, there's multiple different things here, but that's how you should approach it. Standardize your expectations, okay? That's so important with so many pieces of running a practice. But if you standardize the expectations, you're going to be able to provide clear documentation standards. It's going to be written out so there's no confusion. You're going to have defined protocols, which, mwah, chef's kiss to my eyes and ears if you have that already. And it's going to remove any ambiguity that could be out there, right? It shouldn't be that people are asked about something and you get different answers, right? Everybody should be along the same lines because they are trained all the same way. They know where the written expectations are. Everyone should know what the right way looks like if you have all this established. The other thing I think is important is you could develop a scorecard for the clinic. So you could use clinical scorecards by tracking note completion time, which I think is very important, documentation quality, protocol adherence. You can keep it simple so it's repeatable, but it's just very straightforward. It's objective data and it's very easy to be able to show to people, have a conversation, try to fix areas where there's places for improvement and move on, okay? And then you can have a history of them, you can have it documented, and if you have any performance concerns or something's going on with a staff member, you have a history showing that's how you've always done it, and that's how you do it for everybody in that clinical realm. So what do you do if you find issues while you're monitoring, okay? Well, you have to correct it in real time. You can't let things go on because either people are gonna forget about it, you're gonna forget about it, it's gonna become a bigger deal than it really is. So you wanna make sure that you're fixing documentation gaps quickly, you're preventing any kind of downstream billing issues that could come about, any patient safety issues, you have to address it quickly, okay? You have to identify the root cause. Is it time pressure that's causing the problem? Is it poor workflow design? Is it lack of clarity? Or maybe it's just the person is not happy or they're not doing well. It's just all these things, but you have to identify a root cause in order to fix that, in order for it to be a systemic fix, okay? You can't just put Band-Aids on things. You need to reinforce and standardize. So you always need to make sure that you're updating the training and the staff know what's the updated part and you're retraining them on that, right? You have to update processes as things change in healthcare. Things are always changing in healthcare. So you have to make sure that you're keeping everything updated. You have to avoid the one-off corrections with no system fix. That's putting a Band-Aid on things. It's not effective. So you have to make sure you're looking at things from a global standpoint. One of the biggest places, and this is one of the things that a lot of practices struggle, is managing provider sensitivity, okay? There's some key principles to this, and it's almost like an art. And if you've worked with enough providers as like an administrator or a leadership, you kind of have learned how to do this. But you need to be able to effectively and constructively help your providers, but take into consideration and promote their clinical autonomy, right? They are the doctors, they are the licensed person that is responsible for taking care of these patients. So you have to respect that and keep that in mind, and just really try to honor their autonomy where you can, and maybe focus on the documentation piece, focus on the processes piece and how everything comes together, focus on the compliance piece, right? Don't focus on their medical decision making. You need to focus on how things are coming together. And that's sometimes where people get a little confused and wrapped up, and not on purpose, it just happens, but you have to be mindful of that, right? You have to position your conversation with them correctly, right? You want to make sure that you remind them that you're trying to protect them as a provider. You're trying to lower their level of compliance risk, and you're trying not to put them in any kind of harm's way when it comes to compliance. So you have to approach it from caring about them, which you are. You just have to communicate that, right? Don't come across like we're checking your work and we're making sure you're doing everything right. No. It has to come from a very genuine, we're trying to protect you, we're trying to help you, we're trying to help you protect yourself even. So come at that angle, and I think it will get a lot better reception from a lot of providers that way, okay? So monitoring clinical staff, just keep this in mind, is about consistency, risk reduction, which is very key, and operational alignment, especially with your other departments, right? If clinical workflows aren't monitored, they will drift. We know this. And that drift is where compliance problems start. Okay, so you got to stay on top of it to prevent it from kind of going off the tracks to a point where maybe it's even harder to get it back on. Okay, so I encourage you, pick one workflow this week. Maybe it's documentation, maybe it's intake, maybe it's orders, and start reviewing it consistently, looking for patterns, looking for areas of opportunity to enhance the process or fill in the gaps or re-educate your staff or retrain staff when you're identifying things. But just start there, start small, work in a new one every week, and eventually you'll have a very good process going. If you have any questions or comments about this, please leave that in the comments below. Smash the thumbs up button if today's video was helpful. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And as always, please share this with your colleagues whom you feel would benefit. I appreciate the support as always, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.